But when we're talking about racism specifically, white people have a responsibility of addressing the fact that there is racism in
Mm-hmm.
this country,
Mm-hmm.
that is an embedded function of our system,
Mm-hmm.
and it is an embedded behavior
Mm-hmm.
in white people that has been passed down from generation to generation. Like, I mean, like it's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
Some are just outright racist,
Mm-hmm.
and others are complicit in not saying anything
Mm-hmm.
and not addressing maybe the biases that they have, as well as um, their their counterparts' racism.
Mm-hmm.
Other fellow white people, their racism towards black people and of other minority groups in this country. So I understand what you say when you say that you're tired, that it's tiring, um, and it just might not be your fight.
Yeah, no, there's other people doing the work, and God bless you. It's just I mm-mm,
So what? Do
mm-mm.
so
Nah.
so what do you consider your work then?
My work
And this is not to diminish
mhm,
the work that anybody else
else is
is
doing at
doing,
all.
or to um, place your work in a brighter
High
light or
at
anything
all.
like that. But we have to also recognize
Mm-hmm.
that everybody has their lane,
Mm-hmm.
um, based on whatever they believe, however they've educated themselves, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you say your lane is in this whole fight?
Yeah, and I'm glad you made that statement because I don't believe that those who are, doing the heavy lifting of, teaching other people of color or other or the white race about the turmoils that they've caused and the traumas that they've caused against black bodies as anything lesser than what I feel my mission towards black liberation is at all whatsoever. I just know it personally for me that fight is just I don't have the energy to do it, so I'd rather use my energy and my time into just investing back into the black community and the black diaspora. And for me, that looks like not only fighting on the ground here for those on the margins here in the States, but also making opportunities for those who do want to move back to Africa, creating opportunities for them if they feel like they want to get out of this scope of racism and white supremacy and they don't want to live under this lens, like creating opportunities for them to invest back in the motherland, where they will be welcomed, where they'll have easier opportunities to get land and housing, and jobs, and live in a space that is free of the context of white supremacy, because that's just an added trauma that I feel like as a people we just shouldn't have to deal with, right? And I feel like in Africa, there's a certain privilege of living in a predominantly black society where you don't have to worry about, driving down the street and a cop pulling you over, and the anxieties that come with that, especially if it's a cop that is white, not having to worry about, loans being denied because of your race, not, having to worry about redlining or whether or not your vote matters or just a host of things, right? And it doesn't mean that Africa is perfect. We have a lot of work to do, but I'd rather us, go back home and do the work there without that added trauma, if that makes sense. And that's where I feel like, my mission lies in terms of liberation.
So now, since we're talking about interracial dating, how do we bring that full circle now?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have a, let's just say for example's sake,
Mm-hmm.
there's a black man and a white woman
Mm-hmm.
that are now dating.
Mm-hmm.
How do we address those issues? Is Let me put it a different way. Say they're dating, they end up getting married and so forth. Would you say that it is the man's responsibility in this case, since he's black and his wife is white, would you say that it is his responsibility to ensure that his wife is educated and fighting, or would you say that she has the responsibility and he should kind of just be left out of it?
I think the responsibility of learning should be on her part.
Okay.
Definitely on her part. I'm not here.
Should interracial dating even be a thing?
Oh, I mean,
for you?
Yeah, for me.
If you were the dictator, not a dictator, let's not say that, but if you were the one that had to choose, you had the final say of whether there was interracial dating or not, what would you say?
So I don't like policing people's how you love, who you love. That's not my job. That's not my place. Please love who you want to love, okay? But as for me, in my house, black love all the way.
Okay.
And I've had experience actually with interracial dating. Just personally for me, the added weight of having to validate your humanity to somebody it's too much. It's too much. And there is not to say that there aren't white allies in relationships who choose to see your humanity, but most times, even if your partner sees your humanity, you still have to deal with their family members.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about like long-term life partners, and some interesting conversations can come up during family gatherings, or if I just don't want to be in a situation where not only am I having to not having to validate my humanity to my partner. Hopefully I don't even have to do that, but to their family members as well. Like, that's just added stress that I just don't want to go through.
What is the difference between black love and any other kind of love?
So at the root of it, if we're just talking about like feelings and emotions, there's technically nothing different. If we're just talking about like the choice to do life with somebody, there's nothing different. But for me, I feel like who I choose to love is also a political statement for me. It is a spiritual statement for me. It is also tied to my emotional healing. So there are a lot of layers for me as to why I'm in a space right now where I feel like I only want to move forward with a black man.
So why did you choose in the past to date
interracially?
Yeah, men that were not black.
Yeah, so at that time, honestly, for some odd reason.
And not to say that it's wrong. I'm just saying, like, what was your thinking at the time?
There's nothing wrong. Let me even preface. There's nothing wrong with interracial dating. Let me just put that out there. It's just I'm speaking personally for myself and the choices.
And I'm not saying that you are wrong. You were wrong in doing that. It's just like, what were you thinking? Because I think this speaks to the mentality of a lot of people, black people as well. Not just women, but men think the same. May think the same. So I just want to kind of pick your brain as to why.
So at that time, I think I wasn't. I was still learning myself. I was still developing in who I was mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And again, I did make the choice. I did choose to partner with these people because I was choosing to specifically just look at the character of who they were. And at those moments in my life, I felt as though those interactions were meant to happen. I felt like they were divine interventions for those seasons in my life. And I decided to, choose to partner with those people at that time specifically for that. It was more of a character thing for me. I wasn't thinking, legacy and lineage. I wasn't thinking about my emotional and spiritual healing and how it ties to me partnering with a black man. I wasn't thinking about conversations of, racial justice and, whether or not my partner would truly see me for who I was, right? Not only, my personality, my character, my personhood, but like, truly see me and like understand me as a Black person navigating this world. Those are not conversations that were being had at those, at that time, at that young age. So I think I just had to grow into myself and figure out what I wanted for myself down the line. And, that has changed. That has definitely changed. When I think about who I want to partner with, what I want my kids to look like, what I want my healing to look like, that for me would require me to be with a Black man. So that's just why, that's why I'm at the space I'm at now and why I wasn't thinking the way I was back then.
Did dating interracially give you a perspective that you would not have gotten?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I think it's just like with anything else, like sometimes you have to try certain things to know if they're going to work for you, be it temporary or long term. So I'm definitely grateful for those relationships because I did learn a lot about myself. I learned about other cultures and not only how they navigate, but how they perceive, Blackness and African culture. Just for added context. So it was definitely a learning experience for sure. And I wouldn't take it back for the world because I think if I didn't experience those things, I may still be curious. But I'm glad that, I got to experience, dating interracially and just knowing what I know now, what does and doesn't work for me.
So what doesn't work for you dating interracially?
So let me just make it short. Honestly, when I'm talking about someone truly seeing me for who I am, not only my character, my personhood, but just understanding how I'm navigating this world as a Black person, that is important to me. And I feel like you can't always get that in a interracial relationship, right? That's primary for me. And then also just culturally, it's just a lot easier to partner with someone who you have a lot more things in common with. I just feel like it's an added layer of work that I try to make my life as simple as possible. So the less denominators that cause me to stumble, the better. So that's like another factor, and then you have to deal again with family. Even if their children tend to be more progressive, the families and the parents tend to be a little bit more conservative. Whether or not they're voicing that to your face is, another thing. But more times than not, you also have to deal with their families if you're thinking about something long term. And I just sometimes the friction that can come up with that, I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I've never dated interracially. So, I dated a Latina. But that's still within the constraints, if you will, of who I am. Because my mother's Latina, so I'm very aware of the culture. I've been a part of it. I've been immersed in it. So it's still within who I am. But I've never dated white or Asian. It ain't my cup of tea anyway. So it's just not what I am attracted to. Although I do find beauty in white women and Asian women.
Yeah, definitely.
But other than that, I don't see myself moving past attraction.
And why is that
romantically?
For you? Why don't you see yourself moving past romantic attraction?
A lot of it has to do with just preference.
Okay.
You can be a beautiful person and we can work together towards a common goal, whether it's professionally, politically, economically, whatever the case is, but creating a family, I have not met a white woman or an Asian woman who may have the same values. as I have. And it's not that it's not even like I've been looking for a white or Asian woman anyway. I'm just not looking for them, period. So that is not to say that they don't have the same values or can't have the same values, because we could even match up just like that and get married and create a family. But it's just, I don't see myself dating or marrying a white or Asian woman. Specifically, I'm just naming those two, but just specifically them, I just don't see it.
Okay. Yeah, definitely, like, thinking about lineage and progeny is, like, it's super important to me. And I want to also, create Black children that love themselves, because I feel like there's not enough of them out there. Anti-Blackness is still, like, deeply entrenched in, who we are as a people. So, again, when I'm speaking about, like, healing, those are some of the things I'm thinking about, too.
Yeah, and the other part is that I want my children, if God permits me to have them, to live in a world where they don't have to guess, oh well, my mom is Asian and my dad is Black, or my mom is white and my dad is Black. What am I? And of course, I have a responsibility as a father to teach them who they are, but that shouldn't. I don't want that to be a question that they have to ask themselves. Because now they think, yeah, it's an added layer. It's like now they think, oh, well, I'm biracial. Yeah, you are, but you could just be Black. Like, I could have just made the decision to marry a Black woman, and then you're good. You don't have to worry about that. And underneath are so many other issues that you're going to have to face as a little Black boy or girl. It's just not needed. Yeah. It's not needed. So I would rather just marry Black and tell you, hey, look, this is how it's going on in this country.
This is how it's going to be.
This is what we have been fighting for. This is what we're fighting for today. They might look similar because maybe nothing has changed by that time.
God forbid.
But at least you know this is what it is. So now we can push forward. I don't have to teach them, oh, yeah, so your mom is white. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I'm a little bit blacker than she is. And back when this country first started, me and your mom probably would not have gotten married. And here's why. And then come all of these other questions. That's just not needed. So...
But to all those who are...
yeah, all those that choose
doing the work, God bless you.
It's just like we were talking about, though, it not being your work.
Yeah.
We choose what we want to do. And I think that is an important distinction. If I'm choosing not to marry a white or Asian woman, then that should be my prerogative.
Right.
But...
with no guilt.
Yeah, no guilt. Like, don't tell me that, oh, you are prejudiced or discriminatory against another race. It's not that. It's just that your race is so complex, as well as mine is, that I don't want to have to intersect the two unnecessarily. Especially when there's bad blood between the two races as well.
So much more healing needs to happen.
Yeah, it creates so much more issues, and then we're not even talking about religion. We're not talking about political stances. The list can go on. So, I think we choose. It's our prerogative to choose what we want to deal with.
Right. Agreed.
It's just so much.
Agreed.
But to those that choose to deal with it all, more power to you. It's a hard task, and I'm not choosing to do it.
Yeah, if you're doing it, again, more power to you. God bless. And then just the last thing to kind of tie it, kind of bring it to a close. I was seeing some like posters at protests with white women, kind of making essentially like jokes about Black men, and it's like this. I also see this over sexualization of blackness in interracial relationships, typically those who partner with black partners, that also is bothersome to me. So that's like another conflict I have. I feel like most men who do approach me who aren't black, they have a certain perception of what they believe black women are. And it's usually tied to this like over sexualization and this
she's
fantasy.
A freak.
Yeah. So
And she can twerk.
Right. So that's like another conflict,
I'm not gonna lie though. I'm not gonna lie. Because black men, at least I do this. I look at white women and Asian women as like not this is not how I holistically look at them, but like this aspect, since you brought it up, about the sexual aspect, I look at them as they not anywhere near what my black women can do. Like you can't twerk, you can't dance, not saying that they cannot, but just generally what we see is that they can't dance like black women dance in our culture. And twerking ain't even really our culture, but that's another thing. But the way that you're able to move your body, your hips and so forth, that is a cultural expression that goes back generations that our black women are able to do. So when I see a white woman or Asian woman, I'm like, you can't do that. And when you can, it's like,
right.
All right.
Not the Birdman. But I feel like with black men in terms of pursuing black women with a sexual lens, I feel like it's more of an appreciation that is happening rather than a fetish or a fetishization.
Like you said, black men.
Yeah, I feel
approaching black women.
Yeah, like in terms of looking at us within a sexual scope or a sexual lens, I feel like it's more an appreciation because you guys are used to seeing it, right? It's not like this new thing, right? But if you're coming from a race or a background that isn't used to seeing women twerk or more shapely, full lips, full note, whatever, like it's new, so it's exciting, and it's just like your senses are unnecessarily heightened, right? It becomes this like hypersexual thing, where I feel like for black men it's more of an appreciation. Like it's just, this is what I love, this is what I'm used to, this is what I grew up around, this is what I know, right? And it's beautiful to me, so this is where I'm gonna stay. So
yeah, that's I would say that's part of it, but it's also like nobody does it like black women.
Oh, facts.
So it's like, why am I? Facts.
We're not gonna sugarcoat. I mean, yeah, we know what it is.
If I'm a black man and that's what I want, that's what I'm gonna pursue. I'm not gonna go to a white woman or Asian woman and expect them to know how to do that, because it's just not part of their culture. And I would say, unfortunately, that is what a lot of black men use to determine who they're gonna pursue. Like they just make it just sexual. They make it a sexual decision instead of a holistic decision. Yeah, like a white woman may not be able to do all of that sexually, but there are other aspects of her that are just as good. She'll be able to fulfill whatever desire you have in other areas, but sexually that might not be her strong suit. Not saying that she can't even learn, but when you make your decision just purely on sex, then I would say that that's wrong. I would say that that's wrong and probably selfish of that person.
Yeah.
Because who says that black love is better than white love or Asian love? I mean, nobody can actually say that it's better.
No. It's just a preferential love for me.
Yeah,
I'm not saying one is better than the other. Am I a bit biased? Yes.
And how do you quantify it? Like, it's beautiful to see black love, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the narrative that black people are pushing now. That black love is beautiful, black love is great, and all of that, because they're trying to. I believe they are trying to empower black people and encourage them.
It's a form of black empowerment.
Yeah, they are encouraging them to get together. Don't be afraid to come together, understand one another, date one another, marry one another. I think that's good. I don't know if they're doing anything else, like if they have another agenda, but that specifically, I would agree with. However, how do you quantify black love being superior than any other love? You can't, in my opinion. You can't. Like, if you see a white couple, and they are just as mushy and they understand each other and blah blah blah, and you see another black couple that exhibits the same, you're like, oh, that's beautiful. So what's the difference to me? You can't quantify. You can't say, oh, this one is better or this one is superior.
No, I hear you. Again, I'm not gonna give my biased opinion, but if we're just talking about solely based on emotions and choosing somebody based on their character and choosing to love them despite whatever, cool, yeah, we all on the same playing field. But I think in terms of just as a people, when you bring two resilient people together, there's just something that kind of magnifies in that aspect for me in the ways in which you're able to love each other. Right, I just think it's just a bit more special. It's a bit more powerful. It's a bit more transcendent. It's kind of intangible. I don't even know how to. I don't even know if you can truly put black love into words. But there's something just a little bit more special.
You're saying that beauty. You're saying that beauty comes out of the struggle.
Out of the struggle.
And white people, since they have technically no struggle. According to your argument,
I don't want to say that they don't have a struggle, but
their struggle is not comparative to ours.
To ours, right? And
so especially since it's not, then it's not as special. Their love is not as special.
And even beyond that, when we are choosing to fight to love each other in a system that has historically tried to pit us against each other in varying ways, and still, rising above those struggles and still rising above, those, those...
The obstacles.
The obstacles, yeah. Essentially rising above those obstacles and still saying, hey, even though this is what was done to you and this is what was done to me and this is the ways in which we've been pitted against each other, I'm still going to choose to love you with all your flaws, with everything that comes with you, with all your baggage, because I know that we're stronger together than apart, right? There's just something just much more beautiful about that to me. The resilience in which we come back into to reconciling with each other as one in love. Like I just feel like it's more special. I don't know. And again, I'm definitely a bit more biased in that sense, but generally speaking, yes, like Asian love, white love, whatever. If you're in love, love is love, like completely agree. But if I'm speaking from a more biased place, I just feel like there's something more special about black love.
I can understand your position, and we can go on this all day.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very nuanced, as you've pointed out. Because I think that what you're saying is that we're basing this love, the spectrum, the scale of love, on how much one struggles in life based on race.
Not just not only the struggle, but like overcoming that struggle, right?
Yeah.
And still fighting through the obstacles that have been placed in the way of us wanting to choose each other, right? Like if we're thinking about the American prison system and the fact that it's filled up with most of our black men, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which means there's less of them for us to choose in terms of life partnership, in terms of love, whatever, we already have those cards stacked against us, right? And still, even with that imbalance, still saying, hey, like, I know this is what the system's trying to do. I know that we have less access to you because of this system. I know that whether it be in media, there are more portrayals of Black men choosing, even dealing with colorism, but women of either a lighter spectrum or women of another race. We don't see a lot of Black love on the screen. Like, there's just so many things that are pushing us away from each other rather than towards each other. And you know, living within that context and still saying, hey, like, I don't care what I'm seeing on the TV. I don't care, you know, in what ways the system is trying to pit us against each other. I'm still going to choose to see your humanity, still choose to appreciate your resiliency and love you in spite of it all. Like, that for me is just special.
Yeah.
That's just special. And again, I'm being biased. I know that love is love. I don't deny that. But for me, again, it's a preferential thing.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we can leave it there.
Yeah.
That's something that maybe we could even discuss the next time, or that you can discuss since this is your show.
No, you're co-host.
But yeah, it's definitely nuanced, and I respect your opinion. I'm not even saying that I'm against it. I'm just trying to get us to see the full picture of like what really is the difference and what are we measuring when we say that Black love is beautiful, Black love is great, because in essence we're saying that it's different, and not that it's bad. Different, it's just different. I mean, it's Black people loving one another, and you have white people loving one another, but like there's so much that comes within that love, that marriage. So it would take some time to unravel and piece together once again, to really understand it all. So we can leave it there if you'd like.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was great again having you co-host with me.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, thank everybody for tuning into the Konjo Show, and we will see you on our next episode as we journey together.
All right. Well, thank you for having me, y'all. Make sure you follow the Konjo Show at the Konjo Show on Facebook, Instagram,
and YouTube.
Boom.